Hello everyone. In this video, we will explain why there is a big possibility that Russia is actually behind the Hamas attack on Israel on the 7th of October. So let's begin. First of all, everyone thinks that Iran is the one who is behind Hamas attack on Israel. But American specialists have already ruled out this possibility, saying they couldn't find any links to Iran being involved in the Hamas attack. But there is a high probability that Russia could be involved, because, you see, right now Russia is in the middle of the Ukraine war. They are struggling to fight off the Ukrainians because the US and its allies are continuously supplying Ukrainians with money, arms, and ammunition. So, after 2 years of war, Ukraine is still able to fight off the Russians from most of their lands. Also, fight has reached a stalemate. Neither side was able to fight through the enemy lines. Also, the global media is glued to this war, covering every aspect of the war. It is making Russia look very bad in front of the global audience. So Russia-Ukraine is in front of the global focus. Also, you have to keep in mind that Ukraine's top supporter, the United States, has no major war going on of its own at the moment. The US ended its war on terror in Afghanistan in late 2020. So America's main focus is the Ukraine-Russia war right now. And the Americans have committed billions of dollars to the Ukrainians. American Congress has pledged its full support to the Ukrainian government. And as you have guessed, it is getting very bad for the Russians. They are not only fighting Ukrainians, but also American and NATO forces. As a result, they are losing tons of money, weapons, and soldiers every day. And they know that they can't keep this up for very long. Russians have already exhausted their reserves significantly. Their stockpiles of arms and ammunition are running low. Also, they are facing a shortage of men who are willing to fight this endless war. So it is safe to say that it is getting very bad for the Russians. And Russian leadership in Moscow understands this very well. So they have been thinking very thoroughly about what can they do to shift the focus from Ukraine to somewhere else. How they can make the Americans and the NATO allies busy with something else. Far away from the Russian borders, far away from the Ukraine conflict. And boom, here is the solution. Why not start another Arab-Israel conflict? It will certainly shift the allies' focus from Ukraine to Israel. You see, America is a big supporter of Ukraine, but they are even bigger supporters of Israel. And all the Western allies support Israel more than any other country on the planet. So, in theory, if you can launch a massive attack on Israel, every single Western country and media will automatically shift the focus to Israel. And this is a moment when there is an actual debate going on about whether to stop the support for Ukraine in the American Congress. Many of the Republicans think that it is high time Washington stopped spending money on Ukraine and use the money for ordinary Americans. Also, Ukraine's long-waiting counteroffensive is somewhat what appears to have failed at the moment. Ukraine's army has failed to push back Russians on all fronts. They haven't made any significant gains on the battleground at all. So the US has lost its trust in the Ukrainian government and the army. So Russia took this opportunity and called Hamas and said, "Look, we will give you the money and weapons and launch a massive attack on Israel." Hamas felt confident, and they did launch the attack. On the 7th of October, Hamas launched a massive military operation into Israeli territory. The shooting of thousands of rockets into Israel was followed by an attack by land, air, and sea, with fighters penetrating deep into territory under Israeli control. Here you need to understand one thing: Hamas won't dare to cross the border into Israel without massive support on its back. And here the big supporter was none other than Russia. It was a very calculated geopolitical step from Moscow because it worked. Certainly out of thin air, everyone is talking about Israel right now. All the Western media have shifted their focus from Ukraine to Israel. American government, the UK, France, everyone is talking about Israel, as if everyone has forgotten about Ukraine altogether. It is bad for Israel, but you see, it is a huge gain for Moscow. Now Russians can increase their attack on Ukraine while America and the West are busy helping Israel. Russian Foreign Minister and Russian President Vladimir Putin has already stated that we should work more on the Arab-Israel conflict. We should try to resolve it. The Palestine issue cannot be postponed any longer, while increasing the attack on Ukraine. Sadly, Ukraine is the big loser here. Ukraine will lose all its value in the global media and to Western countries. Suddenly, Ukraine is not the top priority of the Western allies anymore. So let me know what you think about this topic. Do you also think that Russia was indeed behind this Hamas attack on Israel? Or do you have any other theories? Let us know in the comment box below.